So, good morning everyone. We now continue with the important lessons to be learned from the 10 plagues. And we'll deal now with the requests which were made by Pharaoh. And let's understand it just as a general principle, which you see followed through, that, as I said, the world was created in 10 sayings, these 10 specific grades of creation, expression of the mind of the Creator, but the lessons to be learned from this as commandments for the human species to remain were expressed to some extent in the Noahide Code, but because that was not sufficiently effective, so Hashem chose a nation who should be the teachers and the models for the rest of mankind, the kingdom of priests. In fact, a key expression, even in the preamble to the Decalogue, the Aseret HaDibros, is Hashem says, why do I reveal the Noahide Code, which was initial intention, to mankind in the desert of Sinai, to one nation, but I give it in Sinai because it's for all the nations. And what is this one nation? They're the ones that I've told you the Pasuk, Vatem Tiyuli Mamlech Kohanim V'God Kadosh, chapter 19 of Shemos. You should become for me the kingdom of priests and the holy nation, Kili Kol Haaretz, because the whole earth should come to me. I'm here adopting the deep commentary of Sforno. Amongst the classical commentaries, the Sforno is one of the deepest. He's very brief and very deep and very interesting. One knows something about the Sforno. He was Italian, great Talmud Chacham, but like others, those periods, he was a doctor by profession. He had a great understanding of human nature. And in fact, you know, in Europe there was what's called the Renaissance in his time. What was the Renaissance? You all know the Dark Middle Ages, which included the Crusades. People were killed in the name of Christianity. It included the Spanish Inquisition, all the distortions one can imagine, based primarily upon supposed love of man of Christianity, but never was so much cruelty throughout the Dark Middle Ages produced in the name of what they call the religion of love than by the Christians, by the distortions. Of course, it was also influenced by the Romans who preceded them. And there were also periods when there were ups and downs. Then came the Renaissance, when it became permissible in the Christian world to go and study the Bible for ordinary people, which they didn't like people doing. And they recognized there's a great deal of truth in the Jewish interpretation of the Bible. And Sforno, he was the private teacher of Reuchlin, who was one of the initiators of the Renaissance. So the doors were open to all forms of enlightenment for everybody who wished to join it, and the movement of why they call the Protestants, because they protested against the more dogmatic position of the Catholic Church. Which caused a big division. Many carried on with Catholics, and Catholics also became a bit more humane, as they were in the Dark Middle Ages. So Stephanus was the teacher, because he said, the Bible, you can teach to the Gentiles, especially in order to remove the interpretations of the Old Tanakh. And Reuchlin was one he was taught by Stephanus. At the same time, I'll tell you something else very interesting, it's all interrelated. That there were two great scholars in Cambridge, part of the Renaissance movement. One was called Selby and the other was called another one, who wrote works on international moral principles, human rights, which was based not just on political ideas. It was based on the study of Hebrew, and they studied, and also so the texts were produced from the Latin translations, some from English translations, of quotations from the Talmud and from the Rambam concerning the laws of the sons of the law, Torah B'nai Noach. And they produced, as you find out, I have an article, I think it's on, you can find it on the internet, it's on the website of the Yeshiva, an article on the Noachide Code, but on the origins of the way in which the Noachide Code produced a policy of international relations that would bring peace to mankind. Especially they dealt with questions of war and peace, what's called a just peace. And what succeeds, first who studies these works of what's called John Selby and the other, just the name has slipped my memory, and they based it on the classical commentaries on our Tanakh. For the Tanakh they use a great deal, Dr. Kimke and others, and quotations from the Rambam. And Stephanus was also an agent in bringing this to knowledge, even of the Christian world. So Stephanus, he translates this key verse given in chapter 19 of Shemos before the Aseret HaDibros, and he says, the purpose of my revealing this through Moshe, and I want all the people to be aware of the fact that I am speaking through Moshe. The people will be able to hear certain aspects, but to understand it more deeply is given over to Moshe Rabbeinu, the written law and the oral tradition. He said, the whole people have to hear when I'm speaking to you. And it was a revelation to 3 million people, witnessed by 3 million people. And what does it say in the introduction? Why do I reveal this? Because I want you, the people of Israel, to be the kingdom of priests. Now the priest within the people of Israel is there to act as a model of how to relate to Hashem through divine offerings and prayers, and also to be a model for the rest of the nation. And they have more strict laws than the rest of the nation. Similarly also, the Jewish people are actually a model for all mankind, because they li haaretz. I want the whole of mankind to follow me, to understand that I am the Creator, and I've given you here a plan of how to make this world into Gan Eden. And at the moment, it's not a Gan Eden. At that time, it was the opposite. So I want the Jewish people to become a kingdom of priests. That's why it says you've got to be a holy nation, a nation which others can learn. So the Stephanus, that's how he translates this verse. So therefore also, let's go a stage further. In between, as we explained already, the concept of 10 at length. So in between the 10 Mamarim and the 10 declarations of the Decalogue, there is a sign, that means a method whereby people can transform the basic plans of Hashem. He created 10 levels of creation with man at the pinnacle, creation, and how this purposefulness in the world can be translated into a purposeful life which human beings with their power of freedom should develop. Because there's also the animalistic power which is destructive of the human being if it rules his higher spiritual power, the soul. So the human being is a combination of mind and matter, of the divine soul and the animalistic instincts, has to know how to allow the divine soul, which is really the breath of Hashem, which is the divine spark within each human breast, to allow that to give direction to the human being to make the correct choice. Because the power of choice given to the human being is really the highest gift we can give them. That we can feel we can be partners with Hashem in making this world. Hashem wants mankind to be his partner, not to be his opponent. So the 10 plagues, these were signs to show that Hashem is master of the world, not only for the Egyptians, but for all mankind, and specifically for the people of Israel. If you go through these passages, which we're in the middle now, 10 plagues, it says 10 times, V'idatem ki ani Hashem, you should know that I am Hashem. These words are not just addressed to Paro, they're addressed to the people of Israel. How do we, and I tell you, in modern times, if one analyzes high-level thinkers, I once had read a book, someone who regards the first chapter of the Chumash to be, he calls it a biological level, understanding the power of life in this world, and how this biological aspect of the different grades, if one goes into it more deeply, also in the study of the actual natural world in modern science, it demonstrates that the world is purposeful. The world and everything, the world, the more in fact the science increases, the more we see how everything in nature is interrelated one with the other. And Hashem Yisborach, who is the mind behind nature, intends human beings to learn from nature how to follow what we can call true natural morality. There's a lot of discussion amongst the philosophers, how do we relate natural morality to divine morality? The truth is they're one, because the inner nature of man is really following its purposefulness. If we follow the purpose indicated in nature, and that is to follow Hashem. So this is part of V'idatem ki ani Hashem is 10. The 10 we describe the concept of harmony. So now, if you take this chart, which we will go into, you'll see that I've got here, we've already spoken with this, the Man Teda. In other words, the three, if you look, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right. So the chart is based on the right-hand side, you find the Tzach Atash Be'achad, the way in which the 10 plagues are divided 3 times 3, and then the final blow of Makas B'chodesh. And we explain in the depth of all this, how it's indicated. So, if you look from the top column, column number 5, the Man Teda, in order to know. In other words, there's a special at the beginning of each one of the 3. Hashem declares for Moshe Rabbeinu a specific purpose. The first 3 are the Ani Hashem. You've got to recognize that God exists. Ani Hashem. And if you think, as Paro thought, that he was the God, and he was united with the Nile, who was a part of God. So he said, Li Yari, it's my Nile, and it belongs to me. Vani Asitini, he says, these words are quoted from Yechezkel, and he said, I am the one who made myself. self-made, and I'm God. And also, Anya Sitini, I made myself an ally with the Nile. In other words, the Nile and me are one. The Nile is God and I'm God. And so the first 3 plagues were to teach him, no, I'm God. Hashem is God. And he Hashem. Hashem means I'm the supernatural power above nature. I'm going to show it to you. So he showed miracles which oppose the laws of nature. And all that has to do with the Nile and also with the land. So that's the first 3. The second 3 is as follows. Even if you believe, and this is very important for us today, you believe that you can't explain the world unless you assume there's a mind which chooses the harmony of the world and in certain ways above the world. Okay? But still, you've got to have the awareness. Don't say that God is so great that, as we say, Pasuk says that we say Hashem is in heavens, Shamayim Shamayim L'Hashem, V'haaretz natan libnei Adam. Because the heavens belong to Hashem, and the earth is given over to human beings. So you might think this verse is a support for what's called the deists. The deist says, yes, there's God in heaven, there's God above nature. But nature, what happens down here on earth, Hashem is too great to have any connection with it. He's pure spirit. And here on earth, there are earthly things. So surely Hashem doesn't concern himself with what's going on here on earth. As we say in the Tehillim, the beginning of Hallel, we say, Rom al kol goyim Hashem v'shamayim kvodo. You know that pasuk? Hashem is high, Rom, over all the nations. V'shamayim kvodo, his honor is up in the heavens, high above the human beings. And he's not concerned with each human being who's smaller than an ant in the vastness of the universe. Something very interesting, I just gave you quite a witty derivation. If you ever want to know the difference between the secular year and the Jewish year, how many years are in between?
4 years?
Now we're in the year, for example, now we're in now which year are we now? 2016. What's the Jewish year? From creation of man it says. What's the Jewish year? Tov Shin. What's Tov Shin? 700. Yeah. Of course it means 5,700. Tov and Shin, Tov is 400. Shin is how much? Come on, answer. 300.
5,776.
So it makes 700. And then we have Ayin Vav. What's Ayin Vav? 76. Okay, because the year overlaps. So let's call it, because the first, we're now already in 2016, and now we're in 47. But let's say early in the year, we were so the early in the year, the difference between the secular and the Jewish year is how much? If you don't reckon the thousands, look at that through the thousands, what's the difference?
30 years.
200, first of all, it's 200.
200.
It's 240.
240.
240 is the difference between the Jewish year and the secular year. And that's hinted at in the Pasuk, Rom al kol goyim. What's the numerical value of Rom? Rom is Reish Mem. What's Reish?
200.
200 and Mem
40.
40. The difference, this part of the year, it changes in the middle, it changes at a different time, but otherwise it's 240. Rom al Kol Goyim. The Jewish year is 240 years later over the non-Jewish year. If you reckon in hundreds, if you leave aside the thousands. That's a hint. But they also say there are many philosophers who will say, they're called deists in philosophy, not theists. Theists believe that God is also has a power of providence over what happens here on this earth. Although it's a small planet, and the beings on this planet are like insects, but still Hashem is concerned with mankind. That's what we say. His honor, it's true, is up in the heavens. Yeah. By the nations, they think Hashem is only up there. It doesn't influence here below, like the deists say. So that's why the pasuk goes on. No, you're trying to mistake. Hashem comes down. It says, he looks from the heavens down on the earth. He goes to the poorest person who's right down and lifts him up. A person who's lying on a dung heap where perhaps he's going to disappear from this earth. Hashem can lift up the dung heap and bring him to a high level. Because he's concerned with the most humble and lowest of human beings. And for this I want to tell you an episode. There's a great person who put a lot of power into Kirov, a Holocaust survivor. He's not well now, so we should think of him. And maybe those who've been here many more years, like myself, will remember. It's called Rabbi Marx, Rabbi Shalom Marx. Rabbi Shalom Marx, he's a Holocaust survivor, and he was a Gerech Chossid. And what did he do? Well, he was in the Holocaust, and he was on a dung heap. What type of dung heap? He was shot. We know the Nazis, one of the things they did, they took Jews to the edge of a pit. They asked the Jews often to go and dig the pit,
Right.
and then afterwards they shot them all to fall in the pit, and then they were left as dead. Hundreds of thousands like that. Different ways they used, but that. And he was in one of these situations, and he was in such a heap of bodies, and considered dead, but he kept alive. He managed to crawl out and managed to survive the Holocaust. And then he decided that Hashem saved him. He's going to try and live a Jewish life like he knew when he was young. He was a Gerech Chossid, and you know, when he went to daven and rolled up his sleeve, there were others there similar, so they used to dance together. How Hashem has saved us. What did he do? Every year he came here because he raised up his family in America. And America all did things like that. He came in every year on Pesach and on Sukkot. He made, because he was doing quite well, he made an open Seder and open meals for all different groups, for all the Chozrim B'Tshuvah and those who were not in Chozrim B'Tshuvah. When the Olim Chadashim came, he took them in a free Seder, and during the Seder, many people, hundreds of people, hundreds of young people especially, students from university from all over, he was to invite me to speak also, and he spoke. He came, made a second Seder, people from abroad, they did a second Seder, and the second day on to meal. So Pesach and Sukkot, that's what he did for years and years. And he often told this story. He said, this verse became literally fulfilled in my life. In fact, he gave out brochures about it. And he had an enormous impact. He's not well now. I think the son-in-law tried to continue, but anyway, it's a pity that they're not with us now because what she did has not yet been repeated by anyone to that extent. There are a lot of people like that who do different things in the same line. But here it is especially important to understand this principle that Hashem looks after every Jew. So that's what it says here, Ani Hashem b'kerev ha'aretz. Not that just God exists. God is in the middle of the earth. He's connected with the affairs of man. And He brings punishment, He brings reward, He tries to encourage people through Hashem, through the prophets, when there are no any prophets, through the wise sages. And when that's not enough, this is a principle developed constantly by the Chofetz Chaim. He used to say like this, well, we've done a prophets today. So how do we know what is the will of Hashem? So he says, he proves it mainly from the words of the prophets themselves. The prophets say, you know, I bring punishment to the world in different ways. Why do I bring punishment? So it says, in one of the prophets, it says, if I bring a tsunami which makes cities desolate, or I bring an earthquake anywhere in the world, why do I do it? I say, you, the people of Israel, should learn a lesson from it. Because the main lessons are those who read the prophets, those who try to live according to the prophets, those who are supposed to be the Melech Kohanim. So when troubles come in the world, what the Chofetz Chaim do? He collected his yeshiva and he heard something. He heard when there was the war, and when it was in his time there was a war in the Far East, where people were killed, and there was also some sort of earthquake. And as such, he called the people together and listen. We've got to learn a lesson. Hashem is telling us you have to do teshuvah. And he quoted Psukim. What all prophets say, when these things happen, and they're called in the world acts of God, it's true, they're acts of God. So that's how it's called. In law, it's also called acts of God, for which nobody can say is responsible. Who's responsible? The creator of the world. Why is it allowed to happen? So that we, the Jewish people, should see in what's going on a summons to wake up. To wake up that Hashem is concerned, you're not doing enough teshuvah. You're not doing enough kiddush Hashem, sanctifying the name of Hashem. So therefore, why is it so important for us? This is a lesson for Paro. You have to learn it from the second group of three come to teach that because Arov, Deva, or Shechin are things that happen all over the world today as well. There can be wild animals that attack, and there can be a plague that gets spread, and it boils over all the cattle. These things happen all the time. You shouldn't think it's just a happening. No. It comes to we the Jews, Gentiles, they don't read the Bible. They don't know what the prophets want. But we do, we know it. So that's the second one. Now, that's why it said, but then you see Pharaoh, he said, okay, I have to admit the God of Israel, since these things happened to Egyptians, not to Israel, the God of Israel has a great power. I can't deny it. Because after all, Moshe and Aaron come with the warnings from Hashem, then it happens, like they say. And they bring a plague of locusts that has never been heard of and never will be heard of any other time. But still, maybe, like many people, even today think, yes, it's true, God has a power, but it's not the only power. No, there are plenty of other powers. And the other powers are just as absolute. In fact, Aristotle, if you go into the philosophical basis, Aristotle, when the Rambam says, he came to almost the highest level in his approach of Emunah Hashem. He brought many proofs of the existence of God. But he believed in God and believed in nature. He says, yes, God is the source of the laws of nature. But nature has a power of its own. God brought nature to have a power in this world which acts, you can't really say, God acts in different ways, He originates the plan, but nature has an independent existence. And also, there are many people who do this. In fact, Am Yisrael, the people of Israel, in the first temporal period, what happened? They believed in Hashem. After all that happened, all the miracles, the open ones, the hidden ones, to become an established nation in Eretz Canaan, and to see how Hashem, with so many miracles, made it possible for them to drive up the enemies. So the people said, okay, of course we believe in Hashem. And then also they saw that the land is very productive when you work with it. And Hashem gave them rainfall when it was needed, and they were able to, like happens today as well, they were able to produce a blossoming land. And the people around, the Canaanite peoples and others like them, they said they followed what's called Baal worship. In the first temple period. And what was Baal worship? The worship was that the people saw the land is productive. And then we have to recognize, like around us, all of this recognize, there's a power in the land, we've got to treat the land in a certain way. And therefore, they said, they put up idols on high places and worshipped Baal. Baal means, God is spiritual, God is the heavens, but Baal is here in our land, in the surroundings. Otherwise, we are an agricultural people, and our industry is also based primarily on the agricultural blessings. And we see, if we worship Baal, we produce good results, and there are plenty of prophets of Baal around. The Gentiles surrounding them thought Baal is the only God. Baal and Asherah. Asherah is also, Asherah is tree worship. It was called, to some extent, animism. I think they thought there's a certain spiritual power in the power of growth, and therefore they said, the Baal worship. So what did they do? They said, okay, we've got a Beit HaMikdash. In the Beit HaMikdash we worship the invisible God, who you can't see. But outside the Beit HaMikdash we worship Baal. And that's what happened, especially in the Northern Kingdom. When Yeroboam ben Nevat built the Northern Kingdom, he recognized that many of the tribes being influenced also by Baal worship. So what did he do? He combined them. He put up in Shomron idols, but he said, it's a divine worship also, but we do the divine worship via Baal worship. So Eliyahu Navi, what did he say on Har HaKarmel in the Northern Kingdom when he wanted the people to recognize Hashem? Do you remember what he said to the people?
He said, choose which one is yours. You got to choose.
Don't jump on two branches. You're jumping on two branches. You worship God Himself, yes. At the same time, you worship nature. Nature in the man at that time, which is Baal worship. You've got to choose one or the other. You can't say that there are two powers in the world. No, only one power. And therefore, that's the Pshat Hashem Hu Elokim, where they announced it. That's why in the video we say Hashem Hu Elokim 7 times. Because when the people saw that the prophets of Baal, who were very strong, and they influenced the nation, but they saw that there was no rainfall, there was also no rainfall, and so on, said Hashem will bring the rain, but that wasn't enough. So he made this assembly on Har HaKarmel and wanted to test who's stronger. So therefore he said, you can't choose. You've got to take one or the other. Similarly, Pharaoh. Pharaoh, after he was not like the Pharaoh at the time of Yosef. No. He was the Pharaoh who forgot about Yosef, or tried to forget. His daughter didn't forget, but he himself, he said, I'm a God, and I'm with the Nile. He said, well, here in Egypt, we can't give up on the Nile. Even if you say there's one God, and He's afflicting me, He was afflicted the Nile, but it's too difficult to say that He's the only God. So he's one of the gods, and He's chosen the people of Israel. But I'm not from the people of Israel. Therefore, for me, there's another power. I've been raised on this all the time, and I've always claimed that I'm God and the Nile is God. So therefore, I'll say now also, the God of Israel is also a God, but there's other powers, natural powers. My own natural power, Adonai Zacharabah is still there. That's why the three last legs begin with Leman Teda, so you will know, Ki ani Hashem b'chol ha'oretz. I am Kein Komoini b'chol ha'oretz should have been. Kein Komoini it says. There's nobody like unto me. If you are quite right, there are other powers. You can't deny that. There are a lot of powers of growth and productivity and all types of powers in nature, but there's no power like mine.
What do you mean?
What do I mean? Many powers. As God is, it's God in our praise, we also say God is Elokehu Elohim. He's Melech Malchei HaMelachim, he's the king over all kings, and he's also the God over all gods. What's it mean? Elohim, we know is used Chol and Kodesh, the same. Why is it the same? Because like this. The secular, the non-holy word Elohim is used regularly in the Tanakh for strange gods. Even in the Aseret Libros, it says, Lo yilecha Elohim acherim al panai. You, the people of Israel, should have no other God in front of my face. And not in front of our face, we cannot have other God. What's it mean? Why is the same word used? And you've got to know from tradition. That's the way I say tradition is inherent in the whole of the Tanakh. Because the word Elohim is used Kodesh or Chol. How can you have the same word for the name of the true God for the name of the idols? All the idols and what the idols represent are called Elohim. They're called Elohim when they are powers. Like I give a modern example. Modern example is modern scientists say the same thing. I quoted it before, but I'll say it again because it's very, very similar. It's just in modern jargon, not in ancient jargon. When the scientists say all existence comes from a singularity, from one original point, when matter was created somehow from energy. But the energies which exist, which we can analyze, are four forces, four different forces, which produce energies. Let's say that's the mind of God. Some wants to say that's it, for energy. But the mind, what I say, it sounds more sense, like certainly Einstein came to the realization that of the four forces, there's someone who harmonizes them. That's how he describes his understanding of God.
These are fire, water, wind, and earth.
These are the medieval expressions of four forces, for example, four aspects, which you can translate, if you wish to. The four elements, they're referred to, four basic elements, are referred to as the earth, and as the earth, and as the water, earth, water, and wind or spirit, and fire. Yeah? That's the medieval descriptions. So I would translate them, if you study these four elements in Greek philosophy, in Jewish philosophy, where it's frequently mentioned, in the Kabbalah also. So these four elements, you would say these are four different forms of material existence. What are they? There's solid, if we do the face, solid, liquid. Solid is, we use the word earth. Liquid, use the word water, includes all liquids. And with ruach or avir is the concept of gas form, gaseous form. But these are the four forms of different phenomena of nature. And what's H? H is energy, including all types of energy. Electromagnetic and energy of movement is included in H. So that's, if you go more deeply in the Kabbalah, and you, for example, if you read this book by Rav Munk, it's in French originally, it's a very good book on how to relate Kabbalah to science, there was a very great commentary on the Chumash. Also, we have it in Yeshiva. Commentary we have it in Yeshiva from Elie Monk from Paris. You know the commentary?
We have it right here.
Yeah, but it's in French originally.
Oh.
And he also wrote a great work, which I don't know if it got after, I haven't seen in English. It was translated to German, to French, on how to understand the Kabbalah in scientific terms. It says Kabbalah is a deep science, and he relates it to scientific concepts of today. So when let's say Steve Hawkins comes out and says there are 4 basic forces which produce all the energies. Well, one of them is obviously the electromagnetic force, which is Aish. And the Aish might also include the other basic energies of velocity and mass and density, and then the weak nuclear force and strong nuclear force. All these are the sources of energy which exist, scientifically speaking. So these are all, you can say these are Elohim. Well, not Elohim, Elohim.
Other gods.
They're powers.
Other powers.
There are powers that exist. Just like the word Elohim is used for powerful human people, namely the main judges. The judges of Bet Din are called Elohim. Although, what we say from there, we learn out 3 times says Elohim by the judges. So you say for a court in the middle of 3. Why is it men? Because it's an expression of power. But you've got to, also Elohim Achirim. There's still powers. When most of the Egyptian idols were identified with different powers that exist in life. So we say shouldn't these also, but if you say this is the God of creation, then you over Avodah Zarah. But there are these powers do exist. There's a power. You've got to recognize all these powers are servants of Hashem. So this is we got the Ekomoini. Hashem is the only true power. He is the one who rules the world in every way. And that's these last 3. Now I want to go a bit deeper with this. Let me.
Sorry, can I just a quick thought?
No. Okay. Questions afterwards. Now these are, so we find what are the requests made by Pharaoh. It's interrelated. What are the requests that you find here in Pharaoh's request? It's the 4th column from the end. Let's go deal with that now. What was Pharaoh's request? So you see he made different requests from Moshe and Aaron. So we see how the requests of Pharaoh become stronger and stronger. First he asked Moshe to pray to remove the frogs. By the plague of the wild beasts, or it tells Moshe, first let's just take away. I mean, Moshe was the one who said, please stop the plague of the flood. Then remove the plague of the frogs. When he came to the second set of 3, by the plague of the wild beasts, the Lord tells Moshe, okay, go and serve your God. When it comes to the hail, then we see the 7th plague, Pharaoh begins to do teshuvah. He begins to recognize the sovereignty of God, because he says, go and serve Hashem. He doesn't say just go tavdu et Elokim, go and serve your God. He recognizes the God of creation, who's above nature entirely. Don't go just the God who has created nature, which he recognized already earlier from what's happened. And the 7th plague, it's almost the phrase of Teshuvah. Because the hail was you saw it didn't apply to the Jews, it only applied to the Egyptians. It created a combination of different signs from Hashem. They said, go and serve Hashem. And he even says, Hashem HaTzadik. He said, Hashem is right. But I and my people are the wicked ones. and we deserve all these punishments. When doing teshuvah, he's doing teshuvah. However, he relapsed. When he stopped, he relapsed. He did teshuvah, but when the troubles went away, he came back to his obstinacy. When he came to the plague of the firstborn, then he says more. He says, go and serve Hashem your God. He recognized that God is a just God, and he punished in order that it should be recognized that he is the source of all things that exist in the world, which is the foundation of faith. So that's the expressions you'll find. It says, we go from the first, he says, Hatiro, when he comes to the plague of the frogs, says, Hatiro Hashem, pray to him, he should remove all the frogs there. As the wild beast says, go and serve Hashem, offerings to him in the land of Egypt. So, okay. When he came to the hail, he said, Chatati apam, I have sinned. So he confessed, Hashem atzadik, v'niva mi'Yerushalayim, Hatir el Hashem. I know God is right. Why does he say Hashem? I know God is a God of compassion. I'm saying God of compassion, I want him to stop these plagues and forgive me. We're all wicked in our eyes. But we appeal to the mercy of Hashem. And then when it came to the locusts, he said even more. I've sinned against Hashem and against you. Please, forgive me, forgive my sin. I should just take away this deathly plague. And then when it came to Choshev, darkness, again he said, go and serve Hashem. Because after all, he saw the people of Israel, they had light for 3 days, could see everything. And the Egyptians couldn't get up even, they couldn't see in front of their noses. So he said, when he came to the plague of the firstborn, first he also thought it's not going to happen. When Moshe said exactly when it's going to happen, at midnight. When it did happen, then he got a panic. You know, Paro in pajamas. You know the song? Paro came out in pajamas.
I never heard this song.
Paro line, it got in the middle of the night. There was death in every home almost. And Mechor Paro, the top people in his palace, and the top person in each family was being killed. Get out from here, get away from my people, and go and serve Hashem, exactly as he wants. He gave in entirely. So that was Makat B'chorah. Paro in pajamas b'emtza halayla, Paro in pajamas b'emtza halayla, Paro in pajamas b'emtza halayla, ay. What do you, Paro got? You had to get out quickly.
What's the deeper meaning here, though?
Huh?
What's the deeper meaning?
No, it's based on the pasuk which said Paro was sleeping, although Moshe had warned him. He went to sleep. As he said, not going to happen. Such a thing will never happen. Things what all of a sudden, all the main person in each family is going to be killed, but the people of Israel not. That I can't believe. So he went back to sleep, despite the warnings, despite everything we had before, because there was in between each plague there was a time to think things over. And let's go to the basis of it. The Rambam said Paro represents the evil inclination. Because all these happen to us as well. The evil inclination always takes over. We think, well, take it easy, everything's fine. But sometimes Hashem wakes you up. Certainly, that's how we have to interpret all the different shocks He's given the people of Israel as a whole. We get the same shocks also. But anyway, Paro, this Makas B'chorah, and this is a song the children have, they show it dramatically. Even the little children like the song in Israel. So I haven't finished yet, but there's many more aspects which I hope to give you tomorrow. Anyone who doesn't have a chart should take one. if you need more, okay, because you keep the shelter.
Thank you so much, Rosh Yeshiva. I hope you have a nice day.
Thank you.